Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Abhidhamma study session with Siara Pinyadika Linkara. This is class 28, and we'll be going over the first part of the association of Anyathamana mental factors. Before we begin our lesson, we would like to invite Siara to open with Namo Tassa. Siara, would you like to open with Namo Tassa?
Okay. Let's start our today's Abhidhamma study, reciting Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa.
Thank you very much, Siara, for helping us open with Namo Tassa. We would now like to invite Siara to begin the Abhidhamma lecture. Siara, would you like to?
Okay. Thank you, Paṭivedha. And let's start. Today's study, today we are going to focus on the association method. As I said, after a classification, Metta fed us into different groups. We will study how to associate or how to combine in two methods according to Abhidhamma Sangha. So here in Abhidhamma Sangha, we already studied that how the consciousness arises. So consciousness arises moment by moment, starting from the Paṭivedha. In every life, except the asanya saddha, because asanya saddha is totally devoid of consciousness and Metta fed us. So we can say a totally absent of mentality. There is no consciousness in asanya saddha being. But except the asanya saddha, in every life, when we were born, or for them, when we were in conception of the mother's womb, at the very first moment is called Paṭivedha. Then from the moment of Paṭivedha, the consciousness arises moment by moment. In every moment, only one type of consciousness arises. And after that, it disappears. Then another one takes place. In this way, this process continues until the last moment of the life, which is called Chutti, death. So our life starts at the moment of Paṭivedha and in the moment of Chutti. This is the life. And between these two moments of Paṭivedha and Chutti, we can roughly classify two processes. One is active process, which is called Viticcitta. So active process, taking the specific object, the active process arises. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. If there's no active process, Viticcitta, we call it the Vitimutta citta. Then specifically, it can be named as Bhavanga consciousness take place. So the life is continuing. That's why the Bhavanga consciousness is translated as the life continuum. So in this way, we understand our mind or consciousness taking moment by moment, starting from Paṭivedha moment until Chutti moment. After Chutti moment, if still have a condition. It means not attain the arhatship. That beings will be reborn in any realm of existence. Then the round status, starting from Paṭisandhi again. This is how the consciousness arises in the life. So when the consciousness arises, consciousness cannot arise as a single substance, single reality. It cannot arise. It always arises with the Paṭivedha. Even the first moment of Paṭisandhi, it comes with the specific associated Paṭivedha. And Bhavanga moment or cognitive process, Viti, and the last moment, Chuti, all consciousness are accompanied by Paṭivedha, a group of Paṭivedha, at least 7 Paṭivedha. This is called the universal. As we have studied the consciousness or the Paṭivedha associated with all kinds of consciousness are called the universal Paṭivedha. So how many universal Paṭivedha?
7.
7, okay. Savajita Sararana.
Adharana.
Okay, so here today we will study how the consciousness arises, or the consciousness and Paṭivedha, the combination. So English was a little bit complicated, but in Pali, so 2 types of Naya. In 2 ways we can identify, because we have 2 groups of mentalities. One is consciousness and the other is Paṭivedha, Citasika, Citta and Citasika. So here, Sambayoga Naya and Sangaha Naya. Sambayoga Naya is translator, the standard translation. We have to keep at least, this translation is used. Although sometimes we are not so sure according to their specific meaning of their language. But anyway, we can take a note. The Sambayoga Naya is translated according to Brahma Bhikkhu body in Comprehensive Manual or Abhidhamma. Then association of Paṭivedha. This is the translation of the Sambayoga Naya, association of Paṭivedha. So Paṭivedha is Citasika, we already know. Association here refers to the Sambayoga. Then Sangaha Naya, also combination of Paṭivedha. Just combination is same. So he just changed the word association and combination. Then, so let's try to understand what is the difference between 2 Naya, two ways. Here, Sambayoga Naya means Citasika and Citta combination. Sangaha Naya is Citta and Citasika combination. Right? They arise together. So Citta and Citasika, or Citasika and Citta, it does not make any difference. We just understand they arise together. But if we say Citasika Citta combination, it means we will select the specific Paṭivedha from the 52. Then we will find how many consciousness can arise with that Paṭivedha. So Citasika and the question is Citta. So how many Citta associate with this Paṭivedha, the Citasika? And this is Sambayoga Naya. For the Sangaha Naya, for the Sangaha Naya, Citta to Citasika, we will select the specific types of consciousness. After that, we will find how many Paṭivedha are associated with this kind of consciousness. In this way, the answer is about the Citasika, how many Paṭivedha. The question is about the Paṭivedha. So this is the difference between Sambayoga Naya and Sangaha Naya. So I mentioned that Citasika Citta combination. Then Sanghaneya Chitta Chittasika combination. Right? You should not confuse about this. So for the Sambayoga Neya, altogether they are 16 neyas. Altogether 16 neya. So 16 neya means 16 different ways we can associate Chitta to Chittasika. So we will select the Chittasika and we will find the Chitta. In that case, we can get the 16 way. Then for the Sangha Neya, we can get the 33 way. Because from the Chitta, the different kinds of consciousness are altogether 89 and free. So it has a larger wave to classify and to identify a specific group of mental fetters. Okay, so for the 16 neya, so group by group, we already classify 52 mental fetters into 3 groups. So Anya Samana, Akusala, and Sobhana. If I'm following this classification, so the Sambayoga Neya also classify into 3 groups. In the Anya Samana group, we can find the 7 way. So today we will study about the 7 way of association. Here, association, 7 way of association in Anya Samana consciousness. Anya Samana mental fetters. It's called the Anya Samana Chittasika. Then after that, we will continue Akusala. There we will find 5 ways. 5 ways. It means Akusala Chittasika. How many Akusala Chittasika?
14.
14, okay. 14 will be divided into 5 groups. And then we will find the consciousness. Then Sobhana will be divided into 4 groups. Then we will find. So here altogether 16 neya in Sambayoga, some association method. Then in the Sangha neya, so here starting from Lokuttara, this is the order of the Abhidhamma Sangha. So Lokuttara Chitta, starting from Lokuttara, from the highest point. Then Lokuttara, we will find the 5. So the Lokuttara Chitta, in brief, it is how many?
8.
8, yeah. 8, and in large, how many?
40.
40, okay. So the 40 large Lokuttara consciousness will be divided into 5 groups, and we will find the 13 Chittasikas arise with them. Then Mahagata, so second lowest, which is called the sublimes on Mahagata. So this is the combination of which group and which group?
5 material spheres, Chaitas, and immaterial spheres, Chaitas. Altogether
Right.
27.
Right. So Rupa Vachara, 5 material sphere, and Arupa Vachara, immaterial sphere. Right. Then after that, the Kama Vachara Sobhana. So Kama Vachara Sobhana will be divided into 12 groups. 12 groups, and we will find the 12 neya. So each group will consist of 2. It's called the one pair, first pair and second pairs, because they have a different amount of the mental fetters to associate with. Then Akusala 7. So 12 Akusala Chitta will be divided into 7 groups. Then we will find the Chittasika. After that, Ahituka. So Ahituka were divided into only 4 groups. In this way, you have to take a note. Sambayoga Neya is translated as association of mental fetters, because we will find the consciousness, Chittasika first, and then we will find the consciousness. Then Sangha Neya is combination of the mental fetter. It's just this way of association is different. The translation is according to Brahma Bhikkhu body. Okay, so in early version of translation, use only the combination or like this. They don't make any difference for that. Okay, so here, let's see. And let's review again, the principle we have already talked this. Anya Samana Cetasika, we translated as ethically, burial fetters 13, and divided into 2 groups, 7 universal, associated with all types of consciousness, so 89 or 121. Then 6 occasioners are associated with the appropriate way. These were connected to different kinds. Akusala, ahituka, like this. And Kamajara, Sovana, Mahagada, Lokudara. In all group, these 6 occasional were associated, but only in the appropriate way, not all type, not every types, like this. So this is very complicated one, question that one. Then Akusala Cetasika, this is very clear, these are linked to unwholesome type only, unwholesome types, unwholesome consciousness only. Then for the Sobhana, we can see the beautiful consciousness only. So this is very, very important information to study the association method. If you cannot keep this information and when we try to count, that will be quite difficult, not easy. But if you can keep and not that difficult. Okay, so before we continue to count the consciousness associated with the Enyasamana Cetasika, we have to make sure because as I said, in the mental fetters, Pakinaka, occasional mental fetters are complicated. In the same way, in the consciousness, ahituka consciousness are complicated. That's why we need to review, the ahituka consciousness so that you can keep in your mind clearly. So in the classification of the Abhidhamma Sangha divided into 3 groups. According to Abhidhamma Sangha, it's divided into 3 groups. The first group is Akusala Vipaka, the resultant of unwholesome. How many?
7.
7. And Kusala Vipaka, ahituka Kusala Vipaka, 8, right?
8.
Then the functional consciousness,
3.
Right? Okay. So this is the classification of the Abhidhamma Sangha. But if we keep this and this in this way, it seems quite complicated, So we need to match Akusala Vipaka and Kusala Vipaka together pairs. So I consciousness it is counted in both sides of Akusala Vipaka and Kusala Vipaka. So we can count it Chakku Viññāna, right? In the name of the Chakku Viññāna. So 2 Chakku Viññāna, eye consciousness. In this way, we count ear, nose, tongue, and body. So Tripanja Viññāna. We can collectively call Tripanja Viññāna and translate it as 2 set of 5-fold sense consciousness. This is Tripanja Viññāna, 10. So if we take off 10 from the 18, so only 8 remain. There, in both sides, Sampradechana, each group of the Akusala Vipaka and Kusala Vipaka consist of 1. That's why we can count the receiving consciousness, Sampradechana, 2 only, like the Tripanja Viññāna. Also here, 2. Then for the investigating consciousness, Akusala Vipaka side, only 1. And Kusala Vipaka side, how many?
2.
2. One is
Upeka.
and the other is
Somanasa.
Somanasa. That is why investigating consciousness 3. Right? In this way, 2 groups become 15 rootless consciousness. We can divide it into 3 types in this way. Tripanja Viññāna, Sampradechana, Santirana. If you can keep this information, the association method become easy. Otherwise, you have to keep all the number in mind and then search for again and again. And then So functional consciousness divided into two because the two consciousness come in the same name of our jhana. Just the difference is the Panchadhara and Manodhara. That's why Panchadhara Vachana and Manodhara Vachana collectively call our jhana two. So abiding consciousness. Then the last one, Hasitupada one. So if in this way, the rootless function at 3 together with them, and we get the 18 rootless consciousness. If you can make clear in classification of the 18 rootless consciousness, it's not difficult. Then according to accompanying feeling, we can classify in this way: Sukha Sagata 1, Dukkha Sagata 1, Somanasa Sagata 2. Can you find Somanasa Sagata 2 in the Ahituka?
Somnasa Sandirana.
Right.
In the
Then
and Hasitupa.
Hasitupada, yeah. Hasitupada, smile producing one. So in this way, only Somanasa Sagata 2. And the remaining 14 are Ubekha Sahagata. Okay. So then let's see more information about the Ahituka. This is a very important one. So rootless consciousness is a Dvipanja Vijnana in number 8. So if we exclude the Dvipanja Vijnana from the rootless consciousness, only 8 consciousness remain. Yeah, we can count Sampradechana 2, Santirana 3, Awajana 2, Hasitupada 1. This is, if you can enumerate in this way, or the rootless consciousness become clear in your mind. Okay, keep this information in your mind and let's continue to find the consciousness for manifestos. Okay, so here the first group we name here, we number 1 because we will count 7 layers. So 2 groups come together, become 7. Then the first group only 1 types because these all 7 manifestos equally associated with the 89 types of consciousness. So no different. That's why we can count only 1 method, only 1 layer here. So all universal feathers are associated with all 89 types of consciousness. So keep in mind this information. When we find the manifestos for consciousness, we cannot miss this group. We have to add in every times of counting in search of manifestos for consciousness, we have to add this group, right? So in the same way, if we find how many consciousness arise with Passa, how many?
89.
89. So how many consciousness arise associated with the Manasikara attention?
89.
89.
The same, right? 89. So we understand this is the first method. Then, okay, so let's see the second method here, number 2. So each of manifestos of occasional feather group, have the different number, different group of associated consciousness. That's why we will count 6. So altogether 7 methods in the Anyasamana group. Then let's see the Vitaka initial application. In the Abhidhamma Sangaha, briefly mentioned, the Abhidhamma Sangaha is the concise text, very small one, but it includes a lot of information about, we can say there almost all basic information about the Abhidhamma study. That's why very skillful way of composition is used in the Abhidhamma Sangaha. So here, the way of expression in Abhidhamma Sangaha for the associated manifestos of the Vitaka initial application is like this. Vitakka arises in 15 types of consciousness, in all types of sense sphere consciousness, except the true set of five-fold sense consciousness. So here, this test refers to the 44 consciousness. Then 11 first jhana citta, so altogether 55. This is the test explanation. So when we study in traditional way, we study by half this text. Then we know the information we take associated with all sense sphere consciousness except Pripanja Vijnana. Then the first jhana 11. Then we get it. Then 55 consciousness are associated with the Vitakka. This is the information we understand. But sometimes, if you cannot identify what are the 55, it's become difficulty. When you consider about something, talking about the Abhidhamma and considering based on the Abhidhamma knowledge, and if you cannot bring the specific consciousness of 55, you cannot continue. That's why we have to make sure. So as I mentioned that the following the order, right? Following the order. So keep in mind the order of the Abhidhamma Sangaha, Akusala, Ahituka, Kamawachara, Sobana, Rupawachara, Arupawachara, and Lakutara. So if we talk the sense sphere consciousness, so altogether how many sense sphere consciousness?
54.
54. If we make exception, 10 Tripanja Vijnana. In which group we can find Tripanja Vijnana?
Rootless.
Right, rootless consciousness, ahituka. So we will get only 8 consciousness in the rootless group. In this way, we can count. So let's count here. Akusala, there's no exception in akusala. So Vitakka associated with all unwholesome. So we get the 12. Then exception of Tripanja Vijnana. So how many ahituka?
8.
8 ahituka. So can you bring the name of these 8 consciousness?
Tamraisai.
Samrichana
2. Sandirana 3.
Sandirana 3.
3. And
Panchadwara Vajana.
Manodara Vajana.
Vajana
2. Right. Then Asitupada. Right. So these are 8 consciousness. So if we say here collectively 44, a bit confused, right? What are the 44? We forget, right? So we need to make sure what are the 44 here. So starting from, you just consider when you get the information here, since pure consciousness except Tripanja Vijnana. Okay, so let's consider 12 unwholesome, 8, 8 rootless because except the Tripanja Vijnana. Then since pure beautiful, 24. Altogether, we get the 44 consciousness in the sense sphere. This same as this expression of Abhidhamma Sangaha. But if you just keep this information, later on you confuse. That's why make sure after keeping this information and you make sure you can count them. You can recall from the beginning according to the order. And that will be very helpful if you study in advanced level or Abhidhamma. If you're still confused on whether Vicikiccha associated with Vitakka or not, so how can you answer? Vicikiccha
it is associated with Vitakka.
Vitakka, right?
Unwholesome. It is.
Okay, this is unwholesome or unwholesome, right? So Uddhacca Sahagata also, if we say, otherwise, you consider, whether the Uddhacca Sahagata is distressing, how the Vitakka are applying. But according to the association method, associated with Vitakka, right? So that's the thing, you know. Sometimes you can misunderstand, or under the influence of moha, you know, delusion rooted consciousness, how Vitakka arise or like this. But just need to make sure according to the association method that associated with, because this associated method is, you know, taken from the Dhammasangani, you know, the passbook of Abhidhamma text itself, and taken out, then it arranged in the context version. And by keeping this information, we can approach to the largest text and in easy way. Otherwise, very difficult. You need to count every time. Okay, so, and the first jhana citta, 11. So can you count 11 first jhana citta?
The 3 from primordial sphere and 8 from supramundane.
Right. So whenever we count, you know, the jhana, we need to consider the sublime consciousness, which is called Mahakata collectively, the first, second, third, up to the 5th jhana. Then for the Lokuttara, so Lokuttara equally, you know, 8 in each jhana, come equally 8. So we can add and then we can count. So here 11 first jhana citta. In this way, we get the 55 consciousness associated with Vitakka. So why in here Lokuttara is in large number, you know, not talking about only supramundane 8. You know, we talk about the large enumeration of supramundane. Because of this, then we can get the first jhana 8, right? So here is a note is that Vitakka is one of the jhana fetters. Thus, it is associated with 121 citta. This means large version, large enumeration. So in this way, whenever you count the mental fetters included in the jhana fetters, you need to associate with the 121 other than 89 consciousness. So this information, this note will be helpful for the classification of association and dissociation. So consciousness will be divided into 2. And when you consider in the association method, association or dissociation. So associated consciousness or dissociated consciousness. Now, if we get the 55 associated consciousness, and how many are dissociated consciousness?
66.
66. This is based on the information you understand. As the jhana fetter, Vitakka need to associate with the 121. Otherwise, you will confuse if you substitute from the 89, you know, the 55 from 89, you will get another number, right? So, okay, this information also very important. So when we count for vichara, Vitakka, vichara also associated with 121 because it is also jhana fetter, right? For the Pakinaka, you know, Vitakka, vichara, adhimokha. So adhimokha, 89 or 121?
89.
89, why?
It's not part of the jhana factor.
Right, it is not any of jhana. It is not jhana fetter, right? Then adhimokha, viriya.
Not jhana factor.
And 89, right? Then
89.
piti.
Jhana factor.
Jhana fetter, and we will count by 121, right? Then chanda.
89.
89, right? Good. You know, the other jhana fetter, you know, sukha is vedana, right? Vedana is, you know, associated with all kinds. Then ekagata. Ekagata also there in the universal. That's why we just need to consider only 3 here in the Bhakinaka. Okay, so if we count the dissociated citta here, because the exception already made for the Tripanja Vijnana, this come to dissociated consciousness. And among the 54 sense sphere consciousness, we just take only Tripanja Vijnana, right? It's an easy way, you know, you make exception here and it becomes a dissociator. Then Dvipanja Vijnana 10, because the first jhana 11 already counted in the associator, then we will start from second jhana. So second jhana is not associated with Vitaka. Then this becomes a dissociated citta. Second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, fifth jhana. 23. Can you bring what are the fifth jhana? 23.
Fifth jhana of fine material sphere is 3.
Okay.
And all 12 from immaterial sphere,
Okay.
and 8 from supramundane.
Right. So 3, 12, 8
12, 8.
becomes the 23. Fifth jhana. Okay, so it's good, you know, you can keep, you know, the all information we already studied in mind. And in this way, we can count that 66, you know, consciousness are not associated with the Vitaka. So let's talk about when you see, you know, I consciousness arise. At that moment, is there any Vitaka? Vitaka mental fetter arise in your mind or not? When you see something, the I consciousness arise at the moment.
No.
No, right? So after I consciousness, you know, the receiving consciousness come. So at the moment of receiving consciousness, is there any Vitaka or not?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so yeah, in this way, you know, when we study the cognitive process, and we will identify each moment and the name by their specific name at the time. There you can see, oh, this moment associated with how many mental fetter. If you can study, if you can keep this basic information in your mind, and you can keep, we don't need to talk whether it's or not. You know, Abhidhamma come in this way, you know, fixed information, then we can conclude. Okay, so when you attain the third jhana, there's no Vitaka, right? And this is obvious, you know, if you can remember when you study the third jhana, how many jhana fetters there in third jhana?
3.
3. Piti, Sukha,
Sukha, Ekagata.
Ekagata. There's no Vitaka Vichara at all. So this information also not given in this number. Okay, so this is the associated citta and dissociated citta for Vitaka, and as a second method. Let's continue for Vichara. This easy. 66 types of consciousness. In those 55 types of consciousness of the Savitaka. But according to the text, you know, you confuse. What does mean the Savitaka? And so Savitaka means 55, you know, 55 associated with Vitaka is called Savitaka Citta. And so you can recall, oh, it's a Dvipanja Vijnana or sense sphere, and then first jhana 11. Then it adds more group, another group of second jhana citta 11 become 66 is associated citta. So if we count also the same, wholesome 12, and the rootless 8, sense sphere 24, beautiful 24, and here the same 44. Then first jhana 11 and second jhana 11 altogether 66. Then when we count the dissociation, just need to take off the second jhana, because second jhana come to be associated with the vichara. So in the first chapter of the consciousness, also we can understand in second jhana, Vitaka and vichara, you know, the vichara is associated, right, in second jhana, but not Vitaka. In the second jhana, so vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata. So 4 jhana fetters we can find. That's why we need to add second jhana 11 into the associated group. And so if you read the Abhidhamma Lecture text, it's a little bit confusing for the beginner. The text is keeping in the standard way of writing. So this way of study is easier. So 66 adding 11 second jhana citta. So we need to reduce the group, one group here, move to the associated group. So 55. So reversing number. 66 associated citta and 55 dissociated citta for vichara. So here you may notice that all the Dvipanja Vijnana consciousness are not associated with occasional mental fetters, right? For the beginner, Dvipanja Vijnana always in dissociated group. It means because these are the weakest moment for the mind, it's just after the impingement or the how do you say, the bump into the physical substance, eye and visible form, both sides physical. Due to this impingement coming together, these materialities cause to arise the eye consciousness. After some moment later, like this, when they arise, there are eye sensitivity, the materiality inside the eye, then visible form. Initially, they arise before the eye consciousness arises. After that, the eye consciousness arises. That's why they also arise depending on the eye sensitivity or ear sensitivity, like this. That's why they are the weakest group of the consciousness, among the 89. And that's why they cannot be associated with any of occasional mental fetters. So always exception, Dvipanja Vijnana. So whenever you think about the consciousness associated with that, for the occasional one, as I said, the beginner guy is the most complicated. So you just need to keep the information. There's no Dvipanja Vijnana at all in any beginner guy mental fetters. Okay, so let's see. Adhimokkha. So the third beginner guy mental fetters and the fourth method. Here, the Adhimokkha arise in all types of consciousness, excluding, to shorten, to be shortened the text. The only exclusion is mentioned here. Exclusion only 2 groups. If we count here, many types are counted for the associated consciousness. But if we show just the dissociation consciousness only in 2 groups, that's why the writer, the author of Abhidhamma Lecture choose to mention from the exclusion. Okay, so here exclusion, Dvipanja Vijnana, then accompanied by doubt. What is called this in Pali? Right, Ubhika Sahagata Vijikecha Sampayutta. Okay, so this one, 11 consciousness are exclusion, exception. So how many?
11. 89 minus 11 is 78.
78, right? Because here we have to make sure Adhimokkha is not jhana fetter, right? From the beginning, not jhana fetter. That's why it was associated with in brief enumeration.
89.
78.
So 89 then become the 78 is associated citta. So let's count it. Just keep this in these 2 groups, to make exclusion. So in akusala, how many akusala?
12 out of minus 1, it would be 11.
Okay, so 11 exception is Vijikecha, right?
Vijikecha.
Okay, so here Adhimokkha, Adhimokkha is translated as the decision. So Uddhacca Sahagata, distraction moment, right? Uddhacca is distraction, just like this, the we throw a stone into the ash or dust, the distraction. So how it can associate with the adhimokha like this. And this is, you can study in the advanced level. You can ask the different question. In this level, you can keep in mind even the Uddhacca Sahagata associated with adhimokha like this. But this adhimokha is, I mentioned that in the nature or by the characteristic, just making the decision for the regarding the object, not making decision whether I do or don't like this. Okay, so but this cannot associate with doubt, because this is totally opposite doubt and the adhimokha. That's right. And doubt is exception. So 11 akusala, and as usual, Tripanja Vijnana exception. How many ahetuka?
8 are left.
8 ahetuka, right? So
8.
then sense sphere beautiful 24.
Oh,
But this
okay.
become just the difference of the exception or doubt from the Vuttaka and Uchara, right?
Yeah.
So 43 here in sense sphere. So we have to count. Oh, this is the how many out of the 54 sense sphere. Then we continue the jhana like this. It's easy way. And no exception, all exception finished. That's why we have to count in their number. The Rupavachara 15, Arupavachara 12, and Lakutara 8 become 78. Not difficult, right? If you can keep the information dissociation and then you just follow the order, it's okay. Then if we counted the dissociation also, very easy, only 2 groups as mentioned in the text itself. Tripanja Vijnana 10 and the Vichikicca Sahagata 1, it becomes 11 dissociator. And okay, so Viriya. So make sure that Viriya associated with the 89 or 121.
89.
Okay, so 89. In 89, we will exclude the 16 as mentioned in the text. So excluding the 5 sense door adverting consciousness. So here 5 6 door adverting consciousness is Panchadvara Vajana in Pali, right? Panchadvara Vajana. Then 2 set of 5 4 sense consciousness, Tripanja Vijnana. So Panchadvara Vajana, Tripanja Vijnana. Here receiving Sambhadicana, investigating Sandirana. So 16 consciousness. So can you bring, among the 18 rootless consciousness, how many consciousness associated with Viriya?
Smiling. And then the other one is the Mano Dwara Avajana.
Okay, so only 2, right? 16 is exception. So only 2 ahetuka. This is Manodhara Vajana and Hasitopada, right? Here, Manodhara Vajana and Hasitopada. Only 2. Then only 16, all 16 exception come from the ahetuka group, right? All 16. If you follow the test, 4 group, Panchadvara Vajana, Dripanja Vijnana, Sambhadicana, Sandirana. If we count collectively 16 into the 16, but all of them are in ahetuka. That's why we can easily count if we understand. In ahetuka, only 2 associated with Viriya. So if we count the 73 consciousness in Viriya, associated with Viriya, not seeing this group also, you can count it. 12 akusala, 2 ahetuka, Manodhara Vajana and Hasitopada, right? After that, as their number, and according to their number here, sense sphere beautiful 24 or and Rupavachara 15, Arupavachara 12, Lakutara 8. Then become 73. So Ahetuka is complicated, right? Then if we count the dissociated consciousness, also as mentioned in the text, this is the Pali and this is the English translation only, the different Panchadara Vajana, Dripanja Vinyana, Samprichana, Santirana. So 16 dissociated chitta for Viriya. Right? I think you can easily remember this number. Okay, so Piti is associated with the 51. So Piti, we have to count the 121 or 89.
121.
Why? What is the reason?
One of the jhana factor.
Right, Piti being a one of jhana factor is associated with the 121. Okay, so exclusion is explained in the Abhidhamma Sangaha, Dhomanasa Sahagata like this, Ubekha Sahagata, Kaya Vinyana, Chitta Jhana. These are the Pali, as mentioned in the Abhidhamma Sangaha text. So if we see the translation, so accompanied by displeasure, this is Dosa Mula 2. Then equanimity. So how many equanimity consciousness?
55.
55. Good. Yeah. So can you count 55 Ubekha Sahagata? Let's review.
6 from Agusala.
Okay, 6.
6 from Agusala. 14 from rootless.
Okay,
And
so
12 from Kamavasra.
32. Then.
and then 23. No.
23 from Hagada Lakudra, right? Together.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the 55 equanimity. So we have to make sure whether the I consciousness associated with PT or not. When you see something and the PT there or not.
No PT.
No PT. Why? In which group?
The Ahetuka group is weak.
Yeah, Ahetuka. Then I consciousness is in which accompanied by which Vedana? Equanimity. That's the reason, right? So
yes.
All equanimity are exclusion for PT. That's why unconsciousness, when you consider, this is associated with the accompanied by equanimity. So no PT. Then what about the Sandirana?
Santirana. 2 are equanimity and 1 is.
Right, good. So 2 are equanimity. So if equanimity, there's no PT. Only somanasa. So the PT cannot associate with the domanasa and upekha. Right? In the same way, sukha and dukkha, here body consciousness too, referring to sukha and dukkha. So only one PT associated with which one? Which Vedana?
Somnasa.
Somanasa, right. PT associated with Somanasa, Vedana only, right? This is important information. But among the Somanasa and Somanasa, how many Somanasa consciousness? Do you remember?
62.
62, right, 62. 62, then, so here only 51. PT associated with Somanasa, 151 other than 62. That here, 4 jhana consciousness, 11 full jhana consciousness, although they are associated with Thomanata, they are not associated with PT because it is transcended by the jhana power. Right? At the moment of full jhana, overcoming the PT. That's why by the power of jhana, the PT is removed, intentionally removed. That's why although the full jhana consciousness are accompanied by the pleasure, accompanied by join, but is not associated with PT. This is the important note here. We can ask, how many Somanasa Sahagata consciousness not associated with piti? Okay, so let's listen again. How many Somanasa Sahagata, among the 62 you have to consider, not associated with piti? This is this group, right? 11 full jhana are Somanasa Sahagata, but not associated with piti. 11 only. The other, 2 dominasa, 55 equanimity. Here, body consciousness, sukha and dukkha. So altogether, we have the 5 kinds of vedana. All already exclusion. 4 already exclusion. So only 1, somanasa, remain. So somanasa remain, we easily count all 62. But not all 62 associated with piti, because the 4 jhana consciousness intentionally, by the power of jhana, remove the piti. That's why 11 become, although the somanasa sahagata, they are not associated with piti. Right?
Sukha and ekagata.
Yeah. So here sukha and ekagata, sukha ekagata, that's why sukha referring to vedana, right? Ekagata is the the Jitasika manifestos. Then so 51. Now you count by the exclusion, but you need to count by the name. So according to the name, if we count it, akusala, how many consciousness can associate with piti?
4.
4, right? So why the exception? How many are exception in akusala? Now this need to consider, right?
8.
8 exceptions.
8.
So lava mula ubekha sagata 4, right? Here dosa mula 2, so 6. After that, the moha mula 2 are equanimity. That's why. So 6 equanimity and 2 dominasa, displeasure. Only 4 somanasa, lava mula associated with. That's why we get the 4 somanasa sahagata in akusala. So how many somanasa sahagata in rootless?
2.
2, right? We already count 2. What are these 2 again?
Somanasa, Santirana, and Hasitopa.
Right. These 2 are very important. Whenever you count again and again, it comes. If you miss, always miss in 2, or you consider how many like this. Okay, so 4 in akusala and 2 in ahituka, 6. After that, how many in kamavachara sobana?
12.
12. So 18, right? So here the number come. Since pia citta accompanied by pleasure, or we can say the joy, somanasa is called 18 altogether. This is called 18 sense pia somanasa, right? Kamavachara somanasa 18. Then the others are easy. Just 4 jhana is exception. So you can count the 11 first jhana, 11 second jhana, 11 third jhana. So 51 consciousness are associated with piti. So dissociation, let's count it. Dominasa 2, upekha 55, and kaya vinyana 2, so 59, right? Then Chatotha jhana, the 4 jhana 11, so 70 consciousness are exception, so dissociated citta. Right. Okay, so this is very at the beginning, this is very challenging, just giving information. But if you remember, piti associated with only somanasa, then among these 62 somanasa, 11 4 jhana exception, this become easy, right? In this way, become easy, and you can count. associated consciousness, and you can count the dissociated consciousness. And also, in short way, piti associate with only somanasa. If you know this consciousness is not somanasa, you can say definitely it's no piti. Okay, so the last one, chanda, desire. Excluding the rootless consciousness, 18 and 2, accompanied by delusion. This is mohamula. So this is very easy for chanda. 18 ahituka and dosamula and mohamula 2. So exception here, 20 consciousness out of the 89. How many consciousness associated with chanda?
69.
69. Okay. So very easy. Let's count it in the akusala. How many?
10.
10. Right?
Double
Mohamula and dosamula 2 group. 10. And ahituka no, right? All ahituka not associated with chanda. So this is the question, why there's no chanda in ahituka? The chanda is making wish, making wish or desire to get something. But in ahituka, you see just resultant and functional only. But it's strange. Even in the resultant consciousness, it's associated with chanda, in the sense sphere, beautiful, or the other resultant. But ahituka, because it's rootless, and it's say in the Lady Seattle, he mentioned that the chanda is the icha sabhava, so wishing to get something. That's why icha, the consciousness not connected with the icha. Icha is wishing to get something. Just seeing at the moment of seeing is very weak. That's why cannot wish to get something. Just a resultant. And that's why all rootless consciousness cannot be associated with the chanda. This is how Lady Seattle explained the reason why. For mohamula is a very diluted mind, under the moha root only, under the root of moha. So this is very ignorance. So it cannot associate with the wishing to get something like this. Okay, so making this exception, and we get the altogether 69 consciousness. Just need to skip, the mohamula and ahituka, only two groups. So become this group of enumeration. So here, if we make the 34 sense-sphere and Mahagata Lokuttara 35, so become the 69 in short way. Okay, so dissociated consciousness 20 and ahituka and mohamula. And yeah, that's all for the Anya Samana association method. This is the easiest way, I think. If you follow the text, or if you study in other way, it will be more difficult than this way. Just trying to understand, and you count according to the order. By following the order of the Abhidhamma Sangha, make sure whether you really understand or not. Then you can identify, okay, I become expert in the association method of the Anya Samana group. Anytime you can ask me, right? Whether chanda or piti or like this, okay, because you just keep the information, the basics information, and you can identify. Okay, so let's continue to the Q&A session. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jana, for the Abhidhamma lecture. We will now begin the question and answer session of the class. For everyone joining us via the streaming today, thank you for joining us. We will now be ending the streaming for the Q&A session. Thank you for joining us today. May you all be happy, healthy, and peaceful, and may you soon all realize the eternal peace of Nirvana.